We had Summer Game Fest with a new Star Trek game being announced, one that is particularly interesting and unexpected, featuring a character we didn't expect to see in a Star Trek game and a genre that we didn't really expect to see in a Star Trek game. I am Michael.
And I'm Raptor.
And we are One Trek Mind. Welcome back, everybody. Again, today we are discussing a rather interesting new video game title that has been dropped. Star Trek, what is it, Insurgent?
Shadow Frontier.
Yes, Star Trek Shadow Frontier, which is going to apparently be a story-driven action game in the horror genre. It definitely looks like it is pulling, at least visually, from something like Alien Isolation, but we are going to be following the character of LAREN, which, given the time period when you see the badge in the trailer, I'm assuming this is going to be during her time with the Maquis, which I think could be really interesting to explore, kind of like where she's at in this particular stage of her life. And I love the character of LAREN, even if she did break my heart with her decision there. I know that's a controversial opinion. Some people think she made the right call, some people don't. I'm one of the people that think she didn't. I really disliked what she did in that situation, but I get it. I get why she did, but regardless.
Yeah, I think this announcement, I think there's like two interesting aspects of this to talk about. One being LAREN as a character, and one being the survival horror aspect they're going for. And yeah, like you, I like LAREN, but of course she's the prototype for Kira, isn't she, in Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, and I think Kira was, I think, kind of obviously the better character. Like, they really refined what they wanted to do with like a Bajoran terrorist, but also not really terrorist, like a freedom fighter. Again, it's complicated. There's no
complicated.
There's no easy answer to it, which is what makes Kira and Ro interesting characters. They're not just a cut and dry good or bad guy. Like, they have a lot of layers to them, which again, I think could be really interesting in this game to genuinely explore that. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping that they do. The fact that it's a story-driven game makes me think they are at least going to explore some of those aspects a little bit. Again, I'm not 100% this is when she's with the Maquis. They haven't actively said what the time frame of this game is. I'm just going off of the badge and what she's wearing, because she's clearly not in a uniform.
I think it's closer to Picard, the timeline for the Picard show, because if you look at the trailers, the internal sort of style for the starship is very Picard style. Like, the hallways are there's no carpets, it's the shiny floors, it's the quite narrow corridors. The doors are very much more like the doors on the Stargazer and not the original Enterprise D.
Well, are they on a ship or are they on a planet?
Well, that's the other thing, is like, where are they for this? Because it looks like a starship, because those corridors are very much Picard style to me. But again, it could just be a starbase, or it could be an outpost, it could be a station. It's impossible to tell from this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really give you too much of anything. Again, there's also I've noticed a lot of people saying like, oh, I can't wait. And I'm just like, I mean, I'm excited. I do really want to see what we're going to do here, but there's no actual gameplay that was revealed in this trailer.
It's a pre-rendered cutscene.
Yeah, which, again, I get that. It's just to get people hyped, get them talking about it before they are ready to give you some gameplay and everything, but I don't know what the style of gameplay is going to be like. I don't know if it's third person, first person. I don't know if it's really a shooter or more like Outlast, where you just have to hide from the enemies.
Assumptions here.
It's totally up in the air right now as to what this game is gonna be like. The only thing we can really go off of is that it for sure is a horror game. Like, that is the genre we're going for here.
And we kind of know what sort of style of horror, because the team that makes this is Bloober team, and they're most famous for the Silent Hill 2 remake and Layers of Fear, which is a psychological horror game pretty similar to something like Silent Hill.
I disagree with that.
No?
Like, Layers of Fear was a trash game. I'm sorry. That was so stupid.
I mean, I was about to say that they also don't have the best reputation when it comes to making good games as Bloober team, so whether this is good or not, we'll have to wait and see. But
the Silent Hill 2 remake, I think, was like decent, and I'm willing to bet the gameplay is gonna be more similar to something like Silent Hill 2 than it is Layers of Fear, or maybe maybe kind of a blend of the two. I really strongly feel like this is going to be a first-person game, but oh wait, never mind. Apparently, it is listed on Steam as a third-person game, so I'm wrong. So I think with that information, I'm like, I really think they're going for a Silent Hill 2 kind of vibe here, where it's going to be third-person. You'll probably have melee weapons and ranged weapons to use during it. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of Layers of Fear style, like hiding from enemies and stuff like that. But if they want to bring in the kind of psychological horror into this, I am so down for that. I love a good psychological horror movie or game. Anything that really messes with your mind a little bit is top tier, in my opinion.
I mean, I would say the trailer shows off a lot of like squishy, gross sort of Stranger Things or Last of Us sort of growths and stuff on the walls, which suggests the sort of things we're going to be encountering.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear it's going to be like straight up monsters that we're dealing with in this. Although, it would actually be a really cool little twist in the game if you spend a lot of it, you know, dealing with the quote-unquote monsters, only to find out that they are, like, an intelligent race that are perhaps a bit misunderstood in what's going on. Maybe still not good, but maybe there's more to it than just they're creepy-looking monsters. That would be kind of neat. I'm not holding my breath on that one, but
no,
it could be something they do.
I mean, the setup gives me pause in like two major ways. The first is that, okay, it's nice to have LAREN back, but the franchise keeps kind of doing this, bringing back legacy characters, which we've seen a lot in Strange New Worlds, and then basically bringing back the entire crew of the original series Enterprise. And we've had it in Picard as well. I mean, they literally brought LAREN back in Picard to kill her off for some faked emotional moment. While it's always nice to have returning characters, you know, I also think that the franchise in general terms needs to start coming up with new characters. Like, instead of relying on old characters, especially old characters from the legacy shows, let's start having new characters, or maybe start considering characters. I mean, because it's primarily just Next Generation that seems to get mined, and sometimes Voyager. We don't have anything really that does anything with Enterprise, and very rarely does anything do anything with DS9 either.
I mean, Lower Decks kind of did, but it's easier to do that when you don't actually have to get the actors to like come back and
true, I suppose,
on set.
So that's the one sort of thing that gives me pause. The other is, this is kind of meant to be a Star Trek game, and Star Trek is about optimism, primarily. That's what it should be about. And again, lately, we've seen that sort of optimistic side of Star Trek being, I feel, a bit beaten out of it, especially in Strange New World, with things like the Gorn. And I'm not sure I want to play a horror game based in Star Trek, which is basically Silent Hill with Star Trek paint slapped all over it. I think you can absolutely tell a horror story with Star Trek. I mean, First Contact is, I would argue, a dabbling with that. And I think there were some episodes of Voyager as well that dabbled a little bit with that. I think you can absolutely tell a horror story in Star Trek, but I don't
There were some good Next Gen episodes that were very horror-like. Bev being stuck in the other dimension where everything's just disappearing, I thought was actually very scary.
Yeah, it's a different sort of horror, and I don't think taking Silent Hill or Alien Isolation and just putting Star Trek paint over it is going to create a satisfying Star Trek horror game. It might create a satisfying horror game, but is it a Star Trek horror game? Which is the important, because if you're going to set it in Star Trek, you have to have a point to it other than here's a character you recognize and here's the art style you recognize. Like, where is the Star Trek going to come in this? Like, if it's as you say, like you spend your time fighting these monsters and it turns out they're sentient and you're misunderstanding them and blah blah blah, you know, I could see that being one way to go. But if it's just like a generic, oh, these are monsters and you're stuck in your own tragic past or something like Silent Hill games usually are, why bother making it Star Trek at that point? You know, you could just make another Silent Hill.
I'm of a different mind. I think, starting with your first point, bringing back legacy characters just kind of for the hell of it, I do agree. I think they've done that too much. Like, the entire show of Picard, I think, was wholly unnecessary because we got plenty of time with those characters. Like, they had 4 movies, 7 seasons of a show, and occasionally would pop into other shows. Like Worf had a very prominent role in DS9, so I'm like, I've seen enough of the characters. I really don't need them to come back. Is it nice to see them here and there? Like, sure, but is it necessary? No, I really don't think so. However, I think LAREN is a character that is worthwhile bringing back because they did so little with her in Next Gen. She has just a handful of episodes that she's even in, and an even smaller handful of episodes where they actually delve into her characters. So I think if you're gonna pull a legacy character, LAREN is a great choice. Like, I think there is near limitless potential when it comes to exploring her character in a really high stakes scenario like this one. So in that regard, I think this is a solid choice. And as for a horror game being a Star Trek thing, again, I think it really all comes down to the execution of it. I think Star Trek has proven time and time again that it can exist in quite literally any genre it chooses to, and kind of should. Like, one of the staples of Star Trek, in my opinion, is that space is limitless in its possibilities. Like, you can come across really, truly wonderful people, you can come across completely inconsequential people, and you can also come across truly evil, horrible people. Like, you have the whole spectrum in there. And yes, it is a story, I think, that should be rooted mostly in optimism, but I do think the occasional drifting into darker stories is worthwhile. I just feel like it might be muddied a bit by the fact that so many of the modern Star Trek stories have taken that darker approach. Yeah. I think if they hadn't, this game would be more of a breath of fresh air. Like, ooh, now we're going to do something kind of dark with Star Trek. Yeah. That's interesting. But because we've done it so much recently, it doesn't have as much oomph, I guess. But again, it all really comes down to the execution. Like, why did they choose LAREN? Like, what are we going to explore with her character? What is the deal with whatever these, like, creatures are? Where is she? What we need more details, in my opinion, to fully be for or against what's happening. This weirdly kind of reminds me, and hopefully with a different outcome, of like Jurassic World Rebirth, where again, I was like, oh, I really didn't like the last 3 movies. So hopefully with Rebirth, this sort of pseudo reboot, they can kind of get things back on track. But again, when there was no details about it, I think all we really had was the cast. And I was like, I mean, they're all good actors, so if they get a good story to go with it, then cool, we're in good shape. But then the plot synopsis came out and we did get more details, and I was like, that's not good. I feel like we haven't learned anything from our previous mistakes here. So I'm hoping this, again, does not have the same result. Like, when we do finally get some more details about what's going on in this game, I'm fingers crossed hoping that it's going to be something a little more worthwhile. But again, there's no way to tell until we actually get it.
That's solely reliant on Bloober Team, and they don't have the best of track records.
Well, so hold on. Let me take a look at all the games they've made.
It's surprisingly not that many. And the Silent Hill 2 remake is probably their best
biggest
work.
game.
Yeah, I hadn't actually heard of any of the rest that they had made.
Okay, so they did make Layers of Fear 2. I know there's a lot of people that did like Layers of Fear, but I was annoyed. It's one of the games where it's like, oh, it's supposed to be super psychological and you don't really know what's going on, and occasionally, like very occasionally, you can like get a game over and die, but when I say occasionally, I mean really occasionally. To me, there was no stakes in that game. I got to a point where I was getting really bored. I'm like, am I ever going to be like in danger here, or are you just going to pretend like I'm in danger? Because this is annoying me. I've never even heard of the Blair Witch game. What the hell is that? So yeah, it does look like pretty much their only two main games that are at least well known are Layers of Fear and Silent Hill 2. Which again, Silent Hill 2, not bad. I still think the original was better. Not in like a huge substantial way, like, oh, it completely blows this one out of the water. Like, it's a decent remake, but at the end of the day, I don't normally say this, but I don't really feel like they can take the credit for how good the game was, considering it is based off of a game that's already been made. All they had to do was take the elements that worked in the original game and then dial it up in terms of visual quality. So I don't really give them a whole lot of standing on that one. So the only thing I can really give them standing on is Layers of Fear, and I was not a fan. But it does look like this game, being a third-person kind of action horror game, is gonna fall more in line with something like Silent Hill than Layers of Fear. So, again, fingers crossed. There's nothing we can really do until we get more details. Like, this is just the announcement, and we're just waiting to hear more at this point.
This might be one game you play for the channel. Because I'm not a big horror games very well. I'm not a good horror game player either. I mean, I will happily be there with you while you play it, but I'm going to be the one playing through the Voyager game. Actually, I want to get started on that quite soon since they've updated that lately. So
can't I do the Voyager game and you do this?
I've got to go through Alien Isolation 2 for my other channel, and that's going to be creepy enough.
That's your problem, man. No one's making you do that game. Fine, I'll do this game. Probably cry the whole time. I hate horror games. I love them. I love to be scared, but horror movies, I'm all about. Like, I love being tense and disturbed and freaked out. I'm like, oh, this is great. As soon as you give me control of the story, I'm like, I can't do this, man. I'm freaking out. I'd be the character in the horror movie who literally just crawls into a corner until whatever's coming after them eats them, because I'm just too scared to move.
And now you've got the responsibility of keeping LAREN alive.
Maybe she'll give me strength. She's a badass bitch. I'd be like, you know what? If I'm LAREN, I can kill these fuckers. I will say, though, one thing that I hope they fix when the game actually comes out is her character model, because
it's not great, is it?
When they cut to her face in the trailer, I was like, that doesn't really look like her. In my opinion, I don't think that really looks like her. Like, it's kind of in the realm of what she's supposed to look like, but it's not super accurate, I don't think.
It's a bit like those character models in the Voyager game. It's like, they're not far off, but they're not quite right.
Yeah, there's something off about it, but regardless. Other than that, there's not too much else to say, because again, we just have very, very little details on it. But what do you all make of this announcement for a Star Trek horror game featuring LAREN in a somewhat ambiguous time frame, but maybe not. Again, there's very little details. But yes, tell us what you all think. Go ahead and leave a comment on what you would hope to see out of this game, what you expect to see out of this game, and whether you're even on board with like a horror video game at all. Like, is this something you wanted to see come out of Star Trek? Or are you just going to give this one a pass? But aside from all that, go ahead and leave us a like, comment, subscribe. It definitely helps us grow the channel. And that is going to be about it from me.
And goodbye from me.